I want to quickly pull in Nalini as well. Nalini, the Chief Justice of India, still reading out the verdict. Break it down, at least for what we are getting to understand till now. It seems to be advantage Uddhav faction.
Well, Preeti, let's remember the 2016 judgment that is being spoken about, the Nebam Rabia judgment, has essentially said that during the time when the notice for the removal of a speaker is pending, at that time the speaker cannot decide on the disqualification of any of the MLAs. Now, considering the fact that Eknath Shinde and his MLAs had approached the Supreme Court saying that we've already put in a notice for disqualification of the speaker and therefore he cannot decide on our disqualification, considering the fact that the Nebam Rabia judgment has now been referred to a larger 7-judge bench, it will be advantage Eknath Shinde as well as all of his MLAs, because that means that they will continue to be in power in Maharashtra. There will be no stepping down either for the Eknath Shinde himself as the Chief Minister or his MLAs who have taken oath in the government. At the same time, the Supreme Court, the matter continues to remain pending in the Supreme Court, because now a 7-judge bench will look into the aspect as to whether or not a speaker can even decide on disqualification proceedings at a time when his removal or notice for his removal itself is pending. Essentially what the Supreme Court has done, because this was one of the first requests that were made before the Supreme Court in this matter, that this 2016 judgment directly impacts this case, and that's why a bench of the same strength as was there in the Nebam Rabia judgment cannot hear this case. It should go to a larger bench. But at that time, the Supreme Court has said that we are not going to decide on as to whether or not a larger bench should hear this without hearing the merits of the case itself. So now that the merits of the case have been made clear before the Supreme Court has decided that Nebam Rabia, that says that powers of a speaker, there is no power of the speaker to decide on disqualification if a notice for his removal is pending. That will now be considered by a 7-judge bench of the Supreme Court, and only the outcome of that is likely to impact as to whether or not there will be any change in the government in Maharashtra. For now, there is absolutely no change that has been ordered by
for now. Nalini, stay with me. Coming right back to you. I want to cut across back to Anisha. She's got more coming in on what is transpiring in terms of the Chief Justice of India still reading out the judgment. Over to you, Anisha.
Well, Paulami, this seems to be advantage Uddhav faction right now in the Supreme Court as the Chief Justice is continuing to read out his verdict. He has said that the Speaker at the time when he called Mr. Shinde's, when he appointed the whip, it's recommended by the Shinde faction, was aware of the fact that there was a split within the party and that the Speaker must only recognize whip appointed by the political party. It is a big verdict coming in from the Supreme Court. This is going to be and as we speak, Paulami, the verdict is currently going on. He is also now looking into the powers of the EC. At this moment, the question now before the court is also whether the Election Commission could have taken the kind of steps that it did, and the time that it would take for the power of the Speaker to attain finality is uncertain. The Election Commission of India is a constitutional institution entrusted with the function of the maintenance and control of the electoral procedure. Election Commission cannot be prevented from performing its constitutional duty for an indefinite period of time. But the court is still, as I say, it is still going on. They are saying that the work of one constitutional authority cannot be halted due to something happening before another constitutional authority. It seems to be that the court is trying to the court is trying to draw a very, very delicate balance between what happened in Maharashtra and what happened within the Shiv Sena, where on one hand the court has said that the Speaker could not have appointed a whip without referring to the political party in question. He has also now saying that the Election Commission does have the power to decide on who actually has control of the political party on the basis of the party constitution and other factors. And as I say, Paulami, the court is trying to create a very, very delicate balance here. They are saying the court is now looking into the question of disqualification proceedings and whether the court I beg your pardon, whether the court can go into this matter at all. He is saying that the decision of the ECI cannot be relied on by the Speaker for adjudicating disqualification petitions if those petitions are already pending, because the decision of the ECI would then have a retrospective effect. So I clearly, Paulami, this is going to be a very, very complicated verdict, because on one hand, the court is saying that the Speaker could have taken a decision where, as far as the disqualification petitions are concerned, that the Speaker should have gone into an independent inquiry of who exactly is appointing the chief, the whip of the party in the assembly. But at the same time, it is also saying that the Election Commission could have done what it did. No faction or group can argue that they have a defense against disqualification on grounds of defection. It is a very, very important, very, very crucial point being made by the court, that what is exactly the anti-defection process, what happens when there is a disqualification process. These are extremely technical points being read out by the court, and we are here trying to interpret what the court is really saying here, because this is not something that will only have an impact on the Maharashtra politics. This is something that is going to have a huge impact on the politics of the country in general. And the Chief Justice, of course, is, as we speak, still reading out his verdict. He is going into the question of what happens when there are two whips appointed by two separate factions of the party. The Speaker has to decide on which of the two whips represents the political party on basis of an independent adjudication. That is something that the court has just said, and we are still listening to the court, that we are answering this question with regard to the whip. We have answered this question on the whip. Only the whip appointed by the political party can be recognized, because the Election Commission proceedings on the recognition of the party would be a retrospective exercise. The Speaker should have gone into the consideration at that point.